All right. Welcome to the show. This is the New Life Recovery Show. Let's bring in the fearless leader, Vin McCormick. Good morning, sir. How are
Good
you?
morning, sir. Good morning.
Hey, Vin.
Yes,
Vin.
sir. Yes, sir.
If I think better,
I do better,
I do better.
my man. So, good morning to you, brother. Good morning to our wonderful viewing audience. And I want to thank you, Donnie, for your moderating this. You're being the moderator. This is our third show, our first week. I'm so excited. We've had some wonderful guests Monday and Wednesday. Great insight, great information. And we're going to have many more wonderful guests and information to be communicated in totality to mental health in Baltimore and beyond. I just thought of that, Donnie. The state of mental health in Baltimore and beyond. Huh?
Not bad.
You're not the only one that get up in the morning with bright ideas, baby.
Vin, this is also a special week for you because you have celebrated 24 years of what?
24 years of not putting any substances, mind or mood altering substances, in this 6'2", 212-pound frame. 24 years of total abstinence from any drugs and or alcohol, including marijuana, because I've got several clients that want to distinguish marijuana from other drugs. But 24 years of absolute sobriety from any mind or mood altering drugs, to include alcohol and marijuana. And I'm extremely proud and excited to be able to share that with our viewing audiences, many of whom, or some of whom, may have sobriety or substance abuse issues as they watch this show. So if I can do it, ladies and gentlemen, so can you.
All right, so Vin, I brought you some powerful guests, but there's no way that we could have the joining of forces of Be More News and Black USA with New Life Recovery, and I not call on someone who has been our fearless leader with respect to discussing mental health, and that's none other than my dear friend who's down in Florida, Natasha, Pierre. Good morning, Queen. How are you? You got to unmute yourself.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, Donnie. It's great to meet you, Ben. This is my topic, so I'm happy to be here with you and go.
Why is this your topic?
This is a topic that I can speak on, educate on, advocate for at any hour of the day. If I were to get a call at 3 a.m., if it's about mental health or substance use, I'm on it. If you're calling me about anything else, we've got a problem. But this is something that's near and dear to me, and I'll share more in the show. But this is my topic of choice. This is my work 24/7. I'm always ready to speak about it.
How do I protect my space?
Ooh, good. There's layers to this. I think I have a PhD right now in protecting space and ensuring that my mental health isn't affected. There's layers to it. Some people have challenges saying no. I don't. I love saying no because it means it gives me opportunity to say yes to things that benefit me and others, the people that I work with. So saying no is one. Being very clear on what your life's purpose and assignment is also helps you with saying no and being unapologetic about it. Protecting what you see, what you hear. There's some things on social media that when I see the topic, I know I'm not going in the comments because I know what I'm going to see. That is not only self-awareness, it's me self-regulating to ensure that I'm not unnecessarily triggered, because when I'm triggered, I'm ineffective in areas where I need to be effective. So there's layers to it, Donnie. There's layers.
You mentioned Facebook. One of the things that I do, and I will say it on this show, when I see the naked women, I just delete them or block them. It's
That's
a distraction. I can't
It
believe
is.
that's where we are today, that our beautiful women are just butt naked.
It's a distraction. And here's the thing, I tell people that you train your algorithm. So, whatever you're looking at, whatever you're commenting on, whatever you're giving time and energy to, your social media is going to give you more of that. So, my social media gives me lots of mental health topics, puppies, babies with puppies, some weird DIY hacks, because I've trained my algorithm to give that to me. Whatever you are, you're requesting what you're seeing. And so if something pops up that I don't want to see, I block it. Same for people. People jump in my inbox and they're not aligned with my vertical, I block them. No reason to even have a back and forth.
So I have a question for you, Ms. Pierre. A
Mhm.
couple of things. So that's a very interesting comment that you just made. So are you saying that the folks who are the architects of social media, the social media uh, forums, that they have a smart algorithm that gives you what you want, that feeds you what they see that you are privy to, and they keep it coming? Are you saying that?
Absolutely. And that's positive and negative. I tell people that social media is not inherently bad or good. So there are people like social media is bad, the kids shouldn't have it, no one should be on it. I disagree. Some of the best connections that I've made have been through and on social media. Now, what are you training social media to give to you? Get inspirational quotes. Again, puppies, last stand-up comedians. That's what I've trained it to give to me. If something happens to come across my page that or my feed that I don't want to see, I block it. Even if it's an ad, I hide it and I tell them it's irrelevant because I don't want to see it. I want when something happens in society that's going to be newsworthy, sometimes I don't go to social media that day, or I'm not clicking on those posts because I don't want to be triggered. If I'm protecting my emotional and psychological well-being, it starts with me. I can't expect Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, to protect my mental well-being. That's why it's mine. So self-awareness, self-regulation, self-advocacy, self-esteem, self-confidence, they begin with self because it is our work to do as the individual.
So there's another reason I asked you to come on, not just because you are such a champion for our mental health awareness, and you have been in my life, I guess, what, 15 years or so. One of the major issues facing our community is mass incarceration. America represents 5% of the world's population, but we have 25% of the world's incarcerated persons. 35% of them look like Ben and me, and those who look like you, Black women, are the fastest growing demographic. When collectively we're just 13% of the population, we're just a little small segment of a really big picture, but we half of this movie. We half of the movie of incarceration. And so we have a young man, Chadwick Lester, who is joining us today. And I wanted him to share a bit of his story. And I wanted, for the sake of Ben's goal of making us better aware, mental health awareness, conscientiousness, that we could talk with Chadwick and give him some suggestions, some encouragement, and some strategies to help him. Chadwick, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
We're
Good morning,
great.
sir.
How long were you gone?
For 27 years. I was incarcerated for 27 years, and now I'm out re-entering back into society and just trying to do what's right, to give myself a chance for the first time in my life. Because I never really gave myself a chance, or I never chose the right way to go about doing things. It was always the easy way out. See, doing what's right is not easy as doing what's wrong. Doing what's right is a challenge. And, and I just want to give myself a chance this time. especially after being incarcerated at 24 years old and leaving out of prison at 51 years old. That's a problem. That's a problem. And one bad decision cost me 27 years of my life that I can never get back. And now I'm out here, to some degree, I would say I'm playing catch up. Because as a 51-year-old man, it's a lot of things that I do not have now that I'm supposed to have at 51 years old. And in all actuality, I'm really not playing catch up. I like to say that though. It's like motivation for me. It helps me strive. But I could never regain those years back. They are 27 years that I've been separated from my family first and foremost. 27 years of not accumulating Social Security, not paying taxes, not being able to vote. 27 years of being away from my son. I left when my son was 6 years old. And when I re-entered back last week, he's 33. That's a problem. That's one of the major, that's one of the things that hurt me the most. Seeing my son after 27 years. I feel like I failed him. And he forgives me. We're very close.
I think each day you have will chip away at that feeling of failure.
But it hurts. It hurts. I'm being honest. It hurts. It hurts. It brings tears in my eyes every time. We've been around each other almost every day since I've been out. And every day I apologize to him for leaving him and failing him. I feel as though I failed them. Because young boys need their fathers. And it's young girls, but it's definitely young boys. Because there's a shortage on men out here. And that's one of the biggest issues I'm dealing with. Trying to get it across to him that I'm sorry for leaving you, or that I didn't abandon you.
Vin, I see you over there scratching your head. Why are you scratching your head?
Well, it's a whole lot that I want to say to my man, Mr. Lester, man. Some of it, of course, I can say on camera. Probably most of it, because I can identify, and down there, you know, right? I can identify you with what you're saying, Lester. First of all, I can identify also for what you've gone through, right? And that should speak for itself. And I can tell you, man. First of all, welcome home. Let me say that.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Secondly, man, let me tell you something, right? 27 years, day for day, and getting out is a big deal, right? You've been given another opportunity, and I don't really want to focus on you, but you getting out is a very big deal. Let me say that first and foremost, and let me put that in the forefront of your mind. You home,
right?
Right. I'll say this. I'll say this experientially. In my prison life, I had the opportunity and the good fortune, not the misfortune, of being in Hagerstown, right, with some lifers.
Right.
One of the lifers I met was a man named Mr. Will, and I share this even today, right? This was in 2000 when I first got clean. I had to turn myself in, had to go through all that, and I met a lifer. He had done, by the time I met him, he had done 37 years on double life. He killed his girlfriend, his best friend. He caught him in bed. He double 37 years when I met him in 2000 for double murder. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Will and play chess with Mr. Will, and I was there in Hagerstown for 5 months. And Lester, you know, and Miss Pierre, you might know, Donnie, you know, our audience might know, prison has its own rules.
Right.
They got written rules and they got some unwritten rules. And you need to pay more attention to the unwritten rules than the written rules. Right?
Right.
So anyway, I had the opportunity to play chess with this man. It took me 4 months to play and beat Mr. Will because he was very, very good. And in prison, you have to, in order to play the master, you got to be everybody else on the sidelines to play the master.
Right.
So anyway,
Before you can get to him.
that's right. So it took me 3 months to play him 3 times because every time I lose, I had to go back to the bottom line. But anyway, I finally beat Mr. Will, and we began to share very short things because he didn't talk a lot. He didn't talk a lot, Chad. He was very, very peaceful, and it used to bother me that I'm sitting here with a man playing chess, and he was calm and cool and collected. I never heard him raise his voice in 5 months, and I could not understand how somebody who was never going home could be in such peace. So one
that
day,
humble. Right.
I had enough courage, Chad, to ask him because it bothered me. So I was like 2 weeks short of leaving, and I asked him in as eloquent a way as possible. So he said, let me tell you something, young blood. He said, prison got my body. They ain't got my mind.
That's right.
A lifer told me that. So I say that to say, even people who are out on the street, on the bricks, who home.
Right.
Right. And I'm speaking to the substance abuse and mental health, not just caught up on drugs, alcohol, mental health, period.
Right.
Many of those folks are in prison in their minds.
Exactly.
Which is more horrible than having the state put you somewhere.
Right.
That time frame, unless you got life, eventually you're gonna be released. You're gonna be free. Right?
Right.
Mental health, which includes addiction of all kinds, gambling, sex, all of that. That's why the show is mental health related, not substance abuse related. This period, just in case you want to know. So we try and attend to the health, right, and recovery of people, mental health issues. So I want to say to you, brother Chad, if you need anything, man, and I'm Donnie you got my numbers on the thing. If you need anything with a capital A, right? Job, employment, housing, and I'm saying this on the show. I was gonna wait till later. I'm not. Man, give me a call, man, because we help with reentry. Donnie knows that. We help with reentry, right? About now that you're home, we try to help you stay home.
Right.
So he's gonna stay home.
And Donnie know that about me. He didn't tell me about you, but man, you don't know how happy I am to see you, man. I want to crown the show because I'm trying not to, because Donnie said you got to keep professors, so I try not to curse. Bruh, I'm excited that you're home, man. I'm excited or more excited than your family is. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
So, Natasha, come on, chime in here. Help me out.
I'm sorry, Mr.
There's
Pierre,
a lot. No, you covered a lot. I'm happy that you include substance use in mental health because that's real. I'm happy that Chadwick is here because there's something to be said about traumas experienced while in the system. And one thing Chadwick said that stood out for me was, you wanted your son to know that you didn't abandon him, that you didn't fail him. And I'm a mental health educator. I care about the what. I look at the why. So when you said I didn't fail him, I'm asking who failed you? Because at the point that, we know people make, bad decisions, whatever, I get that. But as a society, we own the failures of people who are, now I'm not talking about the one-offs and all of that stuff, but children, and you were a child when you went in. Children, I always say bad children aren't born, they're made. There's nature and there's nurture. What was going on in the environment that led you toward that path? And we don't have to get into that, but as a mental health educator and advocate, I also work in recidivism. So I'm making sure that I'm here. I'm offering my support as well as Ben. Anything you need, because the goal is to keep you on this side of the world and of life.
No, we're not gonna let him skate like this. That's part of his goal, but he's gonna be coaching some other people. God has you in a position, Chadwick. It's gonna be a bunch of people who will be looking to you on what to do. Tell me I'm wrong, Ben.
No, I'm not. You're not wrong, right? He don't even know. He don't know because he don't know who we connected to. But I'm trying to tell you, bro, you're in a good space. You
I can
home
imagine. I can imagine.
and you got a desire. And I'm looking at hey Donnie, I'm looking at the comments and Chadwick got a lot of family behind him because they putting up comments left and right, bro. That's wonderful.
Thank
Hey
you. Thank you.
Chadwick, I told you I was locked up all of 3 days. I saw that sign over city jail and said never again. And that's
Right.
been my story. But so many, I got one buddy, you may even know him, Donald Braxton, Tubby. Tubby's coming home after 42 years. He got locked up when we were 14. And he just coming home,
Wow.
man. They killed Dr. Phillips over there. And but it's not over. And that's to me, Natasha, that's what he represents. Chadwick is proof positive that even in the worstest of worstest, there's still tomorrow.
Right.
And I want people to know, because there's mental health stigma, it's very real. It's in our society, it's in the workplace, it's in churches, it's in families. And when it comes to Chadwick and people like him who are coming home, I'm asking that people put aside whatever sticks they have and look at this person who's present today, not the person who went in 27 years ago. If we believe in redemption, we believe in restoration, we believe in healing, we believe in rehabilitation, blah, 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 second chances, we can't pick and choose when we give people second chances. And he is, Chadwick, you're home, you're here. And now how can society, it's up to us now. How can we support you? What do we need to do? Who do we need to introduce you to? What opportunities do we need to bring to you? What do we need to teach you? Whatever we need to do, we collectively, macro society, not only family, how do we insulate you so because here's the thing, you're home, but there's also, like you just mentioned, the mental battle of feeling that abandoned your son, that you failed him in some way. You're going to be dealing with that until you process and handle that with you. And so we don't need to pile on as a society and remind you of things. We need to insulate you and love you and support you in all of the ways that you need right now.
Thank you.
I think you need a show on this network, Chadwick. You got all of these. You get more comments than the founder. I mean, damn.
And look, I ain't mad. You know what I mean?
Me.
Oh, founder. Okay.
I think you need your own show, Chadwick.
So Miss Pierre,
One thing I need a job. I need a job. I'm a second level plumber. I was able to acquire some. I was able to get certified in plumbing and dealing with the blind and financial literacy. So I'm out here. I'm willing to work. I'm ready to work. I'm staying out here. I'm not ever going back.
Good.
I'm gonna make the right decisions, because when you do what's right, you don't have to worry about anything. It's when you're doing what's wrong, you have to always look over your shoulder, and I'm tired of looking over my shoulder. And that's real.
Ms. P, I want to tell you, I appreciate the comments that you made in regards to it. This touched me when you told Chad that not that he needs. I'm a paraphrase, that someone failed him, and that's real important. And he's further along in life now, in 27 years, and that's maybe something he may or may not look at. But that's very, very important, and I appreciate that, because that's very possible. And in his own development and growth, because I subscribe to a 12-step program, right? And in that 12-step program process is there's some writing that's required, right? It's free therapy, we always say. And one of those things, it asks you about your past, because one of the things I had to get in contact with that was very important for my progression and my continued recovery from substances first, and then to the other things that you could easily get addicted to because you ain't smoking and drinking, like gambling, sex, stuff like that, pornography rather. So I had to get in contact with some things, and this I'm talking about me, Chad, I had to get in contact with some things that led me to that. So I was stuffing some feelings of abandonment and things like that because my mom, she got married to another man when I was 5 years old, and they moved away, and I was left with my grandmother. So I didn't know what to do with that at 5 years old. So I suffered from some things I didn't even know until I was in my 30s and took a look at it with some therapy. You know what I mean? So we never know. We never know. And that's not.
Then this is when I joked you and I said, you told that man, you ain't my daddy.
I grew up in the Park Heights community, Park Heights and Woodland. And if you're familiar with that,
4700 block.
21215, baby.
I was raised in Palmer Court. And if you're familiar with that area.
Oh my God, you survived that?
Yeah.
Right. And if you grew up in that area, you could imagine the things I've seen. So my story, and this is something that I come to grips with while I was incarcerated, is that I chose the wrong role models. And I'm not blaming them because at the end they were my decision. I made the decisions. However, I chose the wrong role models, the drug dealers, because guns and violence. That's all throughout the Park Heights community. That's all over the world. But we just talking about the Park Heights area right now. Guns and violence, drugs and violence, guns. So
remind me of Cherry Hill, like one way in, one way out. You better know somebody, else you getting got.
Death trap. Right. So I try to right now. What I implemented to my life is choosing and rubbing elbows with the right people, the people that are doing what's right, the people who don't have a problem with earning a decent living. I focus very hard on that.
Hey, I got a question for you, Chad.
Yes.
What you doing Monday, man, between 10 and 11?
I'm available. I
got a group of men I want you to come and talk to, man.
Okay.
Donnie knows he can't. Donnie blessed him about a week ago. I need you to come down, man. And I got a group of men. We got a men's group, and I would really like for you to talk to him, man. And give him an hour. Give him a hit for an hour.
All right, Chadwick. What's your first question?
Can you say it again?
What's your first question to Vin?
To men.
All right. So let me give you a hint.
He ain't thinking like that, bro.
You get what you negotiate. Are you a volunteer? Me and Natasha, we deal with people like Vin all the time. Are you a volunteer? Is this Volunteers of America? No. What's your first question?
So let me speak to that.
Hold up. We going to the expert. She's our counselor.
Lived experience matters. Experience matters. And even though you talk about where you grew up, again, I'm going even prior to that. Why was that system, that area in place anyway to make those options for you? Now, the hindsight is always 2020. I got that. But socially, systemically, historically, nationally, we have issues when, Donnie said there's one way in, one way out. We have issues when children are raised in those kind of environments that makes their choices slim. So that's an issue. But yes, your lived experience matters. And even before Donnie mentioned it, I was like, man, he's a speaker. Because if ever there is an opportunity for a straighten up and fly right, stay in school, stay away from, who best can tell you and talk to you about the realities of going down the wrong path and choosing the wrong mentors than someone who did it and is here to tell the tale here on the other side of it. So I guess we'll have to talk about her speaking coming up.
She's being polite. Natasha, Vin wants you to come to Baltimore and speak. What's your first question?
What's your budget?
You got to learn that. You got to learn that. See, this is a whole new language, Chadwick. What's your budget?
Right.
Look at this.
Listen, my lived experience matters. All of our lived experience matters. And there is a market value for that experience. When I'm speaking about mental health, I'm not talking just about what I've read or the class that I took or what I saw on a TV show. I'm talking about what I experienced, what I've lived through, what I've had to push through, what I'm still pushing through every day. So there is, for the 25 years of navigating a system of care, for the 25 years of taking medication, 25 years of dealing with societal stigma and self-stigma, there is a market value for that. Because when I speak, you're not just getting an hour of my time. You're getting shortcuts to ensure that you don't go through the same stuff that I went through. You're getting shortcuts, strategies, tips, tricks, everything to ensure that you can keep your mind in a world that's almost designed for you to lose it. So yes.
So let me just say to you, Chadwick, Ven is the last one you have to worry about not playing fair with you. And that's why we certainly use this as a learning moment. But even he will tell you, you better know your value. When I first started my business 22 years ago, I had to immediately determine my value. My first client wanted me, check this out, Ven, my first client wanted me to get them on television. And I had to determine how much that was worth. This is 22 years ago. Do you know what I charged them, Chadwick?
Say it again.
Do you know how much I charged to get them on television?
How much?
Take a guess.
1,000.
Bingo. One phone call, $1,000. And here's your new best friend. Your new best friend. Your new best friend. I'm going to teach you a word. I'm going to teach you a word. You've heard this word, but I'm getting ready to put it into your psyche so deep you'll never forget it as long as you live. Your sister know it. Katanya know it. Here it is. Invoice. If I ever have another kid, I swear to beans, his middle name gonna be, I was thinking about Voice Glover. I want him to know how to send an invoice because that's the son of an entrepreneur, not a son of an employee. All of these people are bosses. These people, him, her, they are bosses. They send invoices. That's how they get paid. Ven, am I wrong?
Yeah, listen, I gotta take this call. I'm gonna apologize. I gotta take it.
Natasha, am I wrong?
You're not wrong at all. Not wrong at all. There is so the hardest thing for me to overcome, and I'm still overcoming it in some ways, is my own self-stigma. And so for Chadwick and for everyone watching, that's your work to do, and to take your time with it, to get all the support that you need through it, because there is a level of forgiving yourself for mistakes made, for choices made, for, I mean, hindsight is all 2020. If we knew 27 years ago what we knew now, we likely would have taken a different path. We didn't, and so we're here. And so many days, I'm still overcoming the self-stigma of living with a mental health diagnosis and choices that I've made during those times, when I wasn't on medication or wasn't walking in my recovery. And that's why, and that part is a solo journey, but you don't have to do it alone. It's a solo journey because self-stigma, and that's you. But there are people, and I mean, the comments just show how many people you have in your corner. So I really, really love you that.
And not to interrupt you, but it's something that you said that really stands out. You like getting to the root of the problem. And a lot of people that I encounter, and I'm that same way. I like to get to the root. I know me. I know where I come from, and I also know what led me to make the wrong decisions. But a lot of times people tend to want to brush that part off. And the root of the problem is dysfunctional families. That's that's at an all-time high out here because
Mhm.
the family unit is the beginning of learning for a child. I believe this. So it starts there. I
I
just want to say
agree.
that. I did.
The family is the a microcosm of the macro. What's happening in the family, um, what is learned, taught, modeled, and mentored in the family prepares you for entering the world. If the family unit isn't stable in teaching you not only just values, things like right and wrong, but also helping you to develop a strong sense of self, you're ill prepared when you get into the world and when you're encountered with what the world sends. It's why I tell a lot of parents right now that, children, when we talk about millennials and the Gen Zs and all this stuff, we act as if they were hatched. They weren't hatched. They are the product, the result of parents who removed every obstacle from their path. They're the product of parents who removed everything that would have enabled them to develop resilience to deal with this world. And that's why, just at the thought of hearing no, or coming in second, or getting a B, or not making a team, they're ready to flip out. Family unit, because the family unit has changed so much over the last 30, 40 years, that's why we're seeing some and an increase, I think, in the societal ails. And when the family fails, that's when the community has got to step in. The community is the second line of support for the family. If the father isn't there, the mother isn't there, they're being raised by the grandkids, if nobody is there and they're in foster care, where is the community? We have enough connection. We've got all the virtual platforms, all the social media platforms. We've got enough connection. What we're missing is community, and community is where people feel they belong. It's not enough for Chadwick to come out and connect and reconnect with people. That's going to be, I mean, just by being home, that's going to be, obvious. But is he in community? Are you in community? And we see a lot of your family in the comments, but also the larger community that you're in, we've got to support you. For people living with mental health diagnoses like I am, if the greater community isn't supporting me, isn't making space for me to exist in my way, and I'm disconnected. I don't have community. If I don't feel like I belong, I'm not remaining there. And so we need people to feel they belong. And sometimes that's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's inconvenient, but it is what community means.
So, Miss Pierre, so thank you for that. You have me at a disadvantage because Donnie didn't tell me prior to the show what Miss Pierre does down in Florida. He just told me he had a wonderful speaker that he wanted to bring on the show. I said, well, please bring her. So give myself and our listening audience a little bit of background about yourself, if you would.
So
First of
for
all, she's my
the
bodyguard, and if you crack slick, don't get it twisted. She'll be up here with one of the machetes.
I'm purely professional,
I
baby.
don't play about Donnie. I don't play about Donnie. For the purpose of this conversation, I am a mental health educator, and I've been for some time, and that came about from my own diagnosis. I was diagnosed over 25 years ago with bipolar type 2, ultradian, so that's mixed states, rapid cycling. You go from depression to hypomania, for me, several times a day. Post-traumatic stress disorder, generalized anxiety, panic disorder, and EDNOS, which is an eating disorder not otherwise specified. That basically means I wasn't not eating because I wanted to be thin. I was not eating because, as a result of the bipolar diagnosis, I was paranoid about what I was consuming. So 25 years ago, no one was talking about mental health in the way that we're doing now. And so I had to navigate a system of care. I had to navigate finding psychiatrists, learning about medications, learning about symptoms and moods and what that diagnosis means for me. I had to do that on my own. So now that I've come all this way, I'm showing other people how to not only navigate a system, be self-advocates, because sometimes, you know, we're taught to trust everyone except ourselves. Trust the doctor. Well, if the doctor gives you a medicine, it doesn't, you know, you don't feel good on it, you got to speak up, you got to say something. So that's for the purposes of this conversation. But, you know, my background includes professional model, professional actress. I'm a SAG actress, definitely public speaking, entrepreneur, had several businesses, still do. Wow, political strategist, speech writer, author of 2 books, goes on and on and on. So what I share with people is a diagnosis is not a death sentence. I did all of those things while actively dealing with symptoms. I'm here today actively dealing with symptoms. I'm anxious today. This is just what life is for me. It's not because I'm a bad person, my mother ate too many hot Cheetos, you know, I'm not connected to God. This is just what it is. Some people have lupus. I deal with bipolar disorder and I manage it, and I'm still functioning. I'm still able to do what I do. Why? Because of what I said in the beginning. I am squarely in my purpose. I'm squarely living my life's assignment. So whenever someone calls and says, I need you to talk about mental health, it pulls me out of whatever depression that I'm in. I could be laying in bed all day and someone gives me a call and like, hey, you know, I've got a mom in crisis. Perfect. I'm on my way. And so when you know where you fit, you don't act like a misfit. When you know where you fit, it's easy to say no to things that aren't on your path. There are many things that I'm called for and called to do, called to attend, but it's not in my purpose. It's not aligned with my path and my assignment. And so it's easy for me to say no. And that's me.
So look at Chadwick. I promised to bring you some help. We got Mr. Rudy Williams on the line. Rudy, Mr. Williams, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Dan?
Good, good. Can we encourage Chadwick?
Yeah, he just came home after how long? Chadwick?
27 years.
27
How you doing, Mr. Rudy?
I'm good. How you doing, man? You in the
I'm
state
great.
or
State or federal?
State.
or the state of Maryland? Yeah.
Say it again.
State of Maryland. Yes, the state of Maryland.
Okay. Well, I want to say I'm someone who had just 31 years. I've been out 3 years, right? And I want to say, like, when I first came home, I got all kinds of advice from people, which I didn't take, you know, because most of the families are like, you got to watch yourself, you can't trust nobody, and stay in the house, be careful where you go. A lot of negative advice, you know. It meant well from people that meant well. You know? But if I took that advice, you know, I would still been in prison in my mind.
Right.
So, in general, I didn't take advice. Some of it was good, but in general, I couldn't take the advice because, you know, it's like taking the life out of you. You know, I know after you come home after 26 years, you're probably full of life goals and ideas and things you want to do. You know? And I'm saying, you know, stay optimistic, man. Stay optimistic. It's going to take a while, you know. It's just like when you come home, it's like you're born again, like a child again. You're looking forward to being able to do any and everything, you know. And that's the attitude. And it's a good attitude. But after you be out here for a couple years, you'll start to encounter all kinds of real life things, you know, bills, jobs, negativity, you know, doubt, criticism. So be ready for that, but still don't change, man. You're going to have to push through that.
Mr. Rudy, thank you for your encouragement.
Oh, you're welcome anytime, Don.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy.
Okay. Keep your head up, man. Keep your head
Okay.
up. You know, a lot of people, but remember, you know, the hardest battle, some battles you have to go it alone on your own. So be prepared for that.
Okay. Thanks
Mr.
again.
I can't wait to introduce you to him. Thank you for being here in my life.
Okay, I'm looking forward. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too. People pulling for you, man. You got more comments over here, man. I'm telling you, you had to get your own damn show, man. I ain't your damn secretary. Awesome. Kudos. Boy, you got some sisters, boy.
Yeah, I got a beautiful family. They made my support system, man. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even know you. And you're a blessing too, man. We had a nice time in the middle of Walmart. People might not know. You was out shopping, and we linked like that through my sister Catan, who works with the mayor's office. And it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to have the chance to even, to meet you. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here now.
To God be the glory.
To God be the glory.
I thank Natasha and I thank Ben for being in my life, and then we all in each other's lives.
That's right. I thank you all.
Ben, we start crying up in here. Say something, Ben.
You know what I'm doing, man? So as we sit here, and this is just how the mind works. My mind works. I'm sitting here, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm taking in the show first of all because I never know what's going to happen on the show. I never know the discussion we're gonna have. We don't pre-plan. We don't have a script. We go off the cuff as we say, and that's a wonderful thing because you're getting real. So what this conversation has done, particularly from Chad, and then putting Mr. Rudy on the phone, and this is not a bad thing because at any time we are always the sum of our experiences, right? So in this moment, I'm able to reflect on some moments that I had when I was incarcerated, some of which were positive, right? Even in a negative environment, I don't want to get religious. God will draw positive things out of negative situations, right? And so I was reflecting back on some conversations I had with some people when I was away, and I was just, Rudy took me back there real quick, and he's right, and we don't have to get so. Right now, I'm very careful, right? Who I get my information from, right? I got a phobia against getting bad information, so I'm real careful. So in saying that, right, my circle of advisors is real small. Donnie knows a couple of them, men like Dr. Bunley, Bishop Elliott, and a few other people who are in the 12-step process who have more time than I do, that I've watched and I've listened to, and I see that their walk matches their talk, right? So I'm real careful who I get my information from, and Rudy hit on the head. And you probably noticed, Chad, you probably even noticed too, Miss Pierre, a lot of people in the street get their information from the street.
Right.
That's just how it is. And you don't have to be from the street to get information from the street because everybody knows somebody.
Right.
I know educated people that get bad information from their other educated people. Educated don't mean you smart. It
Right.
don't mean there's a distinction. We won't get into that. That's for another show, right? So I know a lot of educated people that's stupid, right?
They can't cross. Hey, Chad, they got PhDs and they can't cross the street.
Right. So I'm real careful where I get my information from at the age of 60, man, with 24 years clean. I'm real careful. So I don't give my stuff to everybody, right? Everyone cannot advise me. I don't care how old you are or what your title is or your label. And I'm just the hit. I used to give deference to family members and people who had more clean time than me and people who were in the clergy. I would give deference to them automatically. It took me until I was an adult, right, to realize the pastor.
That some of them are effed up too.
Yeah. So I had to relearn who to get advice from and who to find to be credible enough to use as and you said this earlier, Chad, and I appreciate you admitting this to our audience because role models in our lives is real important, man.
Right.
Hey, I ain't talking about when I was a young man. I'm talking about even today. If I got the wrong role model, and we try not to deal in politics on this show because that's another show.
You got a lot of black politicians that busy agreeing with anything a white person say.
They're
it's
not
like,
good
I
role
don't want to
models.
hear from them. I want to hear from you. What do you think?
Yeah, they're not good role
Right.
models. But I was
You sound like him.
I was going to say that a lot of folk, and I don't want to get too deep into this, a lot of folk are using Donald Trump as their role model. And if you watch the news, you understand what I'm saying, because he's leading the Republican Party for president again. But anyway, so we have to be real careful.
Including black people.
Right. Including black people, that's right. So we have to be very careful in our adult lives, which the decision making is much more impactful in our lives and the lives of our family and family and friends as an adult. So the things I decide today, they impact my 22-year-old daughter, or she'll be 22 in a couple months. My 22-year-old daughter, my 35-year-old son, my employees. My decisions today impact many more people than they did when I was a young man watching Batman on the screen, right? So it's more important that I'm very, very careful today who I get my advisement from. So I said all that to say, and not to point out, Chad, but I like the fact that you said that. You know what I mean? I too chose some bad role models, man, when I was coming up because somebody showed me how to smoke crack. I ain't Google that.
Right.
I'm talking about this. That's after high school, after going to college, and after going to the military. I smoked crack after that. Somebody showed me, right? I gave deference to somebody to show me how to poison my body, man. So I said that to say that these days it's important, right? Direly important to be careful as an adult man, right? After prison, right? And in the recovery process, to be careful where I get my information from.
Exactly.
Okay, let me hear from Natasha. I can't wait to hear what you've been thinking, and then I actually got a question for you, Natasha, as it relates to Chadwick.
A lot of what Ven mentioned about being aware of where you get your information and that his decisions right now affect not only his family but his employees is emotional intelligence. And it's why we're no longer looking at IQ as the biggest indicator of great leaders, but we're looking at EQ, which is emotional intelligence. In short, it's your ability to be smart about your emotions and the emotions of others. It's recognizing that whatever you're going through not only impacts you, also impacts those around you. And because I go back to the root of everything, then you didn't mention that you were a veteran. See, I cannot look at anyone's actions in a vacuum. I need the backstory. I need the history. I need to know, what did you experience? Because here's the thing. I do not believe, and maybe I'm utopic, maybe I'm no pie in the sky, whatever. I do not believe that people set out to make bad choices every day. I don't believe that. I do not believe that people who are at one point addicted to any substance or any behavior, I don't believe that they woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm kind of bored. There's nothing happening in Baltimore today. How about, how we just get an addiction? I don't believe that. I believe that there is a mental health challenge issue that they are aware of or unaware of that contributes to them making that decision in the moment that change the trajectory of their life. No one would choose the path of addiction. No one would choose the path of incarceration. No one would willingly do that. No one would do that. And so again, I might be utopic, but I always go back to the root. And the root always goes back to the family and to the community that is around that individual. So yes, I believe in self-awareness, the emotional intelligence, all of that stuff. And I also know that when the individual experiences, when we talk about children and adverse childhood experiences, that impact a child if they experience any neglect, any abuse, divorce in the home, incarcerated parent, mental health or drug use in the home, in the family unit, that child is more likely to experience only physical, emotional, and mental conditions later on in life, but for their whole course of the life to be changed. And so we're talking about child. When we're talking about the child, who are the people around that child? Who's the community that is around that family? I cannot look at any one person with one instance. I can't do that, because if you were to judge me based on things that I did or said 25, 27 years ago, that's not who I am today. So we have to be aware. Yes. Jill Scott famously said, if you could tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do. But if you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do. And so I too am selective. I only listen to people. I don't listen to people who've never dealt with anxiety. What can you tell me? Because I can Google that too. I'm not listening to anyone who's never dealt with addiction. What can you say? I'm not listening to anyone who's never been incarcerated tell me about what it's like to be incarcerated, what you saw some episodes of Law and Order. So now you know. No, I'm calling Chadwick.
Right.
We got to make sure that who we're hearing and receiving information from, that they have earned the right to speak. With the pandemic, there's been so many voices coming out wanting to speak about mental health, and I love it. And there's some people that need to sit down, because you do not have the lived experience, at least not to speak to me. And I stand on that. If you ain't ever experienced what I have, you do not have the opportunity to speak to me unapologetically. Donnie, what's your question?
I forgot.
Unapologetic. I'm not listening. Listen, I don't have any questions. Do you think a mother would tolerate me asking her, were the contractions really that bad? I think you're overdoing it. I think you should calm down. A person who has given birth never give audience to my opinion on childbirth, because I did not experience it. So why are we taking advice and listening to people who have not earned the right to speak? That's just being adult. That's just being an adult, ensuring that you're consuming something that's worth consuming. No one would willingly look at a sandwich on the ground in the dirt and say, you know what? I think that'll be a good meal. So why are we doing it when it comes to where we get our information? What's that about?
You see why she here, Vin? Now you see, Vin?
She's definitely surely a blessing.
Of course I do. And I appreciate everything that you both have shared for the day. I really do. I appreciate you both.
We appreciate you as well.
So, Chad, take a moment, tell us your thoughts, and then we'll get on up out of here once we hear from those two and let them give their final thoughts. Thank you for having the courage. Let me tell you something, bro. A lot of people don't come on this show. Maybe you just didn't know, but you have demonstrated not only the bravery to be on this show, because I do throw some haymakers on, but it was never the thought of trying to hold you to any other. You're not a pilot. You're not running for mayor. Those cats, right, we throw haymakers on them. But you still have demonstrated bravery and courage just to share your story. And hey, look, I went to Palmer Court. I think it was my cousin moved around it. She lived in the 4700 block of Park Heights, and she moved around there briefly. I think I went to visit her once. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
It's a jungle. It was a jungle. It was a jungle.
Like 85, 86. Woo!
But what I did want to say was that it was a pleasure being here. It was a pleasure meeting. Well, I met you already, Donnie, and I'd like to continue communicating with you. But for Natasha and Mr. McCormick, y'all are the type of people that I've dreamed about rubbing elbows with, even if it's long distance, because y'all are sincere, true, y'all stand on what y'all believe in, you speak your mind, and I would just like to continue to be able to communicate, and I would like any type of assistance that you could possibly offer me. And not only will I not let y'all down, but I don't intend on letting myself down. And I want to thank y'all again.
First and foremost, we not gonna let you. And I've learned
Thank
this: pick up that phone. That's who Natasha. She one of my 911s. You need a 911. Hey,
Right.
hey, Vin. Hey, Vin. He ain't got my 3 o'clock a.m. phone call yet, Natasha. Hey, Vin. I need to talk.
You need people like that. And yes, some things you're gonna go at alone. Some things we're all gonna go at alone. And then we also need those people that we can, reach out to and just be silent and be like, tell me something. I gift myself grace and compassion. The same grace and compassion that I would give to you, Chadwick, I give that to myself because I'm very hard on myself. I too feel in some ways that I am making up for lost time where, my mental state wasn't where I would say it should have been. And I feel like I'm, catching up. But the truth of the matter is I'm right where I need to be for today. And so
Yes.
on those days where I am, wanting to beat myself up because shoulda, woulda, coulda, I gift myself grace. I'll call Donnie. I'll end the day and go to bed, take a nap, eat a Snickers, watch something fun, and then I'll start the next day all over again. But what we don't do over here is we don't give up. Rest if you must. Don't give up over here.
And that's why you gotta find a different word. You may have failed your son, but you are not failing him now.
Exactly. Thank you.
This is a new day. This is a brand new chance. Thank you, God, for the chance. Come on, Vin. Take us on home. Oh, by the way, Natasha has a website if anybody is looking for her, natashapierre.com. And she's all about emotional intelligence, the ability to manage my emotions and understanding those around me, because I can't control none of them. I know what the question was, Natasha. Any advice for Chadwick in the dating game?
I believe in authenticity. And that means you're going to get Natasha, whether we're in a grocery store, a bank, or I'm on TV. I'm 100% authentic. I don't hide who I am. I don't hide what I've been through. I speak openly. There's a senator in Florida who said, if I scream my story first, you can't hurt me if you whisper it second. I am not ashamed of my life, my past, my diagnoses, nothing. And so for me, I'm just be open. Listen, who's for you is for you. And truth be told, you don't want anyone around you who's going to be judging you based on your past, because we all
And
have
you
one.
got to find out about their past. Sure, they ask questions these days. They ask your credit score, your trauma score. They want to know all your scores. So you get to ask them the same damn thing.
But Donnie, isn't it true that really the only difference between Chadwick and some other people is that he got caught? If we're really being honest.
Donald Trump should be gone. Matter of fact, in other countries, they'd have put the tool on him. He started an insurrection. You're a traitor. Then you're a soldier. What do you think of a commander-in-chief that caused the insurrection? Could black people climb the walls of the Capitol on January 6th?
Listen, that's a whole nother story. We're going to keep it on task. I applaud my two guests for coming. I do want to tell you this, Chad, because I heard what you said. So I don't just hear, I listen. You said you dreamed about rubbing elbows with people like Natasha and myself. And I'm just here to tell you, beloved, that your dreams do come true. And I think that's a good note to go out on, because it's 1:04 and I got people at my door.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to text you Vin's number, and you make sure you contact him.
Okay, I will.
A gig on Monday.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Wait a minute. Before we go, I heard Donnie, and I didn't want to, because I compartmentalize my conversations, right? And I heard him talk about invoice, and I see, and the family was, invoice. And what I will say, right? I say this placidly. you have to be careful when to choose whether to invoice or to bless. I'm gonna say that to you because I had no intentions on paying you, Chadwick. But that's not for the show. Yeah, but my man, he believes in that, and I applaud that, and I'm like that. But it's the time and place for everything, and we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so I want to thank the guests who came on today. I want to thank my moderator who does a fantastic job. You got to rein him in sometimes. Sometimes though. He my man. 50 grand. But Natasha, Pierre, thank you so much. Chadwick Lester, thank you so much. Brother Donnie, thank you so much. And I look forward to.
And don't forget, y'all, if I think better, I do better. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.